It was supposed to be just another quiet night at the bar. The neon lights flickered softly against the worn wooden tables, and the jukebox hummed a low tune in the corner. That's when it happened. Two young women, identical twins, were suddenly surrounded by a group of aggressive cops who didn't look like they were there to keep the peace. Their voices carried through the bar, sharp and intimidating, and in that moment, everyone went silent. No one moved. No one dared to stand up, except one man. A man who had already lived through wars most people only read about. A man who had scars, both visible and invisible. A single dad, a veteran who had learned long ago that silence in the face of injustice was no option. He stood up slowly, his broad shoulders casting a shadow across the room. Patrons whispered his name in fear and respect. He was just trying to enjoy a quiet evening after dropping his daughter off at a friend's house, but something about the fear in those twin girls' eyes struck a chord deep inside him. He remembered the times he had to shield his little girl from the chaos of a world she didn't deserve to inherit. Tonight, these two strangers reminded him of the same vow he once made, to protect, no matter the cost. The cops mocked the twins, accusing them of things that didn't even make sense, pressing them with hostility. The veteran clenched his fists, his jaw tightening as memories of combat rushed back, men in uniform abusing power, ordinary people caught in the crossfire. He couldn't let this stand. He stepped forward, his voice calm but firm, the kind of voice that comes only from a man who has seen death and chosen life. That's enough. Step back. The entire bar froze. The officers laughed at first, mocking him, until they realized this wasn't a man to be toyed with. His steady gaze, his iron presence, demanded respect without him raising a hand. But words weren't enough. One officer shoved him, and the veteran reacted with precision, not aggression. He wasn't fighting to hurt, he was fighting to shield. Every move was measured, protective, a human wall between the twins and danger. Chairs toppled, gasps echoed, but through it all, he never let the girls out of his sight. When the tension finally broke, the officers, frustrated and humiliated, stormed out with threats muttered under their breath. The bar erupted into applause, but the veteran didn't stay for it. He turned to the twins, his eyes softening, and asked simply, "Are you okay?" The girls shared a glance, one filled with a mix of relief and awe. Then, in voices low enough that only he could hear, they revealed the truth: they weren't just ordinary young women. They were FBI agents, undercover, working a dangerous case, and the very cops who had threatened them were part of a corrupt network they were investigating. The veteran froze, not out of regret, but out of shock. He had stepped into a storm far bigger than he realized. His instinct to protect had thrown him directly into the line of fire. The twins explained that his bravery hadn't just saved them tonight, it might have saved their entire operation. By standing up, he had forced the corrupt officers to retreat, giving the agents time to regroup and continue their mission. But danger wasn't over. They warned him, now that he had interfered, those same men might come after him. He thought about his daughter, his world, his reason to keep fighting. Walking away would be the safer choice, but could he really turn his back when others were at risk? The next days tested him in ways war never had. Strange cars lingered near his house, anonymous calls came late at night, and his daughter began to notice his unease. But the twins didn't leave him alone. They stayed in contact, offering him both reassurance and a chance at something more, to stand beside them, not as a soldier this time, but as a protector of justice. He hadn't worn a uniform in years, but that old fire, that sense of duty, flickered again in his chest. Together, the unlikely trio built trust, not overnight, but through quiet moments, late-night planning at his kitchen table, long talks about the weight of carrying responsibility, and even laughter when his daughter, unknowingly, teased him about his new friends. What started as a chance encounter in a bar grew into something greater. A reminder that courage isn't about medals or wars, but about standing up when it matters most. When the final confrontation came, it wasn't in a bar but on a lonely stretch of road where the corrupt officers tried to silence the twins once and for all. This time, the veteran wasn't just reacting, he was ready. The fight wasn't easy, and it carried real danger, but side by side, they stood unbreakable. In the end, justice won. The corrupt network was exposed, the FBI operation succeeded, and the veteran's daughter looked at her father with a new kind of pride, realizing the world still needed him. As the dust settled, the twins hugged him, promising that their paths would cross again. And in that quiet moment, he felt something he hadn't in years, not just the weight of being a protector, but the warmth of knowing he wasn't alone. He walked away holding his daughter's hand, whispering to her the same words he once said in war: "We keep going. No matter what." And now, if you're still here listening, I need you to remember this: sometimes the strongest heroes aren't the ones wearing capes or badges. Sometimes, they're just ordinary people who refuse to stay silent. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs courage today, and subscribe to the channel. Because together, we can keep these stories alive, stories that remind us to stand up, protect the innocent, and never, ever back down.